Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am presenting my learning from Surah Insaan, also known as Surah Dahr. In English, Insaan translates to the man, and Dahr translates to time. Surah Insaan is a Madani surah revealed between 1 and 10 Hijri. This surah, which contains 31 ayah, is 98th in the order of revelation and 76th in the Quran, where it appears in the 19th and 20th rukus of the 29th juz. I will be discussing 9 main topics regarding important concepts. Who is Allah and His creation of mankind, about Al-Quran and the Day of Qiyamah, the rewards given to the righteous, and a description of Jannah and Jahannam. Lastly, the do's and don'ts that earn Allah's mercy or wrath. Also, at the end, I will present a bonus poster as a reminder of how to attain righteousness in our daily lives. Insha'Allah. In our first section, we'll learn which of Allah's characteristics are in the surah, where they are within the surah, and what they mean. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله إن الله كان عليما حكيما. In Ayah 30, Allah reveals 2 of His Asma al-Husna. The first one is Al-Alim, which directly translates to the all-knowing. This means that there is nothing in the universe that He doesn't know. Second, there is Al-Hakim, or the all-wise. Every single one of His judgments and decisions is perfect and always turns out to be the most justified. Now that we know who Allah is, let's talk about one of His creations, us humans. There are billions of different people on our planet, and Allah made all of us the same way for the same reason. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا نحن خلقناهم وشددنا أسرهم وإذا شئنا بدلنا أمثالهم تبديلا. Allah created mankind to test us, and when He wills, Allah can replace our entire nation with another one. Allah created us from a small mixture. Then He gave us hearing and sight. Next, He strengthened our forms. Now we'll change gears and talk about some commonly wondered questions about the Quran that were answered in this surah. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ تَنزِيلًا إِنَّ هَذِهِ تَذْكِرَةٌ فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا. Who was the Quran sent to, and how was it sent? Allah revealed the Quran to Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam progressively. What does Allah do with the Quran? Allah guides believers to the straight path through the Al-Quran. Why do we need Quran? Al-Quran is a reminder to the believers so they can continue to follow the straight path. In short, Al-Quran is the believer's manual to live life and prepare for the Day of Qiyamah. So far, we learned who created us, why we were made, and how we should act according to the Quran. Now, we'll see what will happen with the believers versus the disbelievers when Allah brings them forth on the last day. يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا. On the day of Qiyamah, everyone from every generation and time will return to Allah. However, among them only the believers will be successful. Meanwhile, the disbelievers will be faced with a widespread, very austere and stressful destruction. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah will give everybody what they earned from their deeds and His forgiveness. First, let's elaborate on the believers, the righteous slaves of Allah who will receive benefits from Him. فَوَقَاهُمَ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا إِنَّ هَذَا كَانَ لَكُمْ جَزَاءً وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ مَشْكُورًا يُدْخِلُ مَن يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ وَالظَّالِمِينَ أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. Firstly, Allah will accept the righteous into His mercy. Secondly, Allah will protect the righteous from the day of Qiyamah's destruction and will grant them happiness. Lastly, Allah will reward the righteous for their patience with a garden in Jannah and silk garments to wear in it. From the previous section, we know that Allah will give the righteous a reward in Jannah. So what is in this garden? By the end of this section, we'll have heard about all the wonderful things the righteous will get. May we be amongst them, inshallah. وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا عَالِيَهُمْ ثِيَابُ سُنْدُسٍ خُضْرٌ وَإِسْتَبْرَقٍ وَحُلُّوا أَسَاوِرَ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. Allah will reward the righteous for their patience with green garments of fine silk and brocade. عَالِيَهُمْ ثِيَابُ سُنْدُسٍ خُضْرٌ وَإِسْتَبْرَقٌ وَحُلُّوا أَسَاوِرَ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. Allah will adorn them with silver bracelets. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. With all of Allah's mercy and reward, they will feel radiance and happiness. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. He will grant them pleasure and a great domain with palaces. مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ لَا يَرَوْنَ فِيهَا شَمْسًا وَلَا زَمْهَرِيرًا. The righteous will recline on adorned couches, feeling neither hot nor cold. وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا وَذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا تَذْلِيلًا. Above them will be trees that will lower in compliance if they want to pick their fruits. إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ يَشْرَبُونَ مِنْ كَأْسٍ كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا كَافُورًا عَيْنًا يَشْرَبُ بِهَا عِبَادُ اللَّهِ يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. They will drink from a cup of wine whose mixture is of al-kafur. A spring of kafur will gush forward for them. وَيُطَافُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِآنِيَةٍ مِّن فِضَّةٍ وَأَكْوَابٍ كَانَتْ قَوَارِيرَ مِن فِضَّةٍ قَدَّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. There will be vessels of silver that will pour into glasses of silver and will be distributed amongst the righteous. وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَأْسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا عَيْنًا فِيهَا تُسَمَّى سَلْسَبِيلًا عَالِيَهُمْ ثِيَابُ سُنْدُسٍ خُضْرٌ وَإِسْتَبْرَقٍ وَحُلُّوا أَسَاوِرَ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. They will also be given another drink called zanjabil. It will be a purifying drink from a fountain called salsabil. وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ حَسِبْتَهُمْ لُؤْلُؤًا دُثُورًا. There will be young maids who are made eternal that will serve them. When looked upon, they will be as beautiful as scattered pearls. إِنَّ هَذَا كَانَ لَكُمْ جَزَاءً وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ مَشْكُورًا. Allah will say that Jannah is the reward for the righteous, as their efforts have been appreciated. On the other hand, the disbelievers will be eternally stuck in Jahannam. Although there are only 2 ayat in Surah Insaan that mention Jahannam, they perfectly state what horrifying things await the disbelievers. إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ سَلَاسِلَ وَأَغْلَالًا وَسَعِيرًا يُدْخِلُ مَن يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ وَالظَّالِمِينَ أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. In Jahannam, there will be chains, shackles, and a fierce blaze of fire for the disbelievers. It will be an extremely painful punishment. After knowing the horrifying and eternal punishments in Jahannam, we must strive to qualify for the reward of Jannah and avoid the terrible path of Jahannam. The do's are a list of actions and qualities mentioned in this surah that every believer must attain to achieve Allah's mercy for the reward of Jannah. To save us from the punishment of Jahannam and strive for the rewards of Jannah, we must be grateful to Allah and thank Him with complete satisfaction with whatever we get, no matter how large or small it may seem. We must fear only Allah and no other human being. After all, every human is His creation, and therefore He holds much more power than we ever could. We must not will other than what Allah has willed, and we must be patient for His decisions. We must fulfill our promises to Allah. Completing what we have promised gains trust and good kinship with our fellow brothers and sisters. We must follow the Quran thoroughly. This is because the Quran is our manual to leading the life of a righteous slave. We must fear the day of Qiyamah. As previously mentioned, the day of Qiyamah's destruction, evilness, will be austere and widespread. We must spend a part of the night performing Tahajjud Salah, performing Dhikrullah, and reciting Al-Quran as much as it is easy for us. We must recite du'as in the morning, that is after Fajr, and the evening, that is after Asr. We must give food to the needy, orphans, and captive, only out of our love to appeal Allah. We must not accept any worldly gains for giving sadaqah, as we are doing it for Allah and only Allah. Currently, we know what we should do. However, we must also know what we shouldn't do. Knowing both the do's and don'ts are equally as important as they come in hand. The don'ts are a list of actions and qualities mentioned in this surah that every believer must avoid to save themselves from Allah's anger. We shouldn't be ungrateful towards Allah, nor will other than what Allah willed. We shouldn't obey any sinner or disbeliever, such as any person or society who orders us to do anything that is prohibited in Islam. We should not love any worldly gains excessively, and we should not ignore nor deny the day of Qiyamah. In the next slides, I created posters to summarize the lessons we learned from Surah Insaan. These will be a quick reminder and a daily checklist so we can keep ourselves on the straight path, Insha'Allah. In this poster, we can visualize how Jannah and Jahannam will be a place for eternity at a glance. In Jannah, Allah will provide us with lots of ni'mat. First of all, in Jannah, the righteous will get green garments made of silk and brocade for clothing, whereas the wrongdoers will not get any clothing in Jahannam. Secondly, the righteous will get silver bracelets as accessories to wear, whereas the wrongdoers will be tied tightly with chains and shackles. Thirdly, the righteous will relax and adorn couches, whereas wrongdoers will get their payback as a painful punishment. Fourthly, in Jannah, the righteous will own a great domain, whereas in Jahannam, the wrongdoers will be in a blaze of flame. Fifthly, in Jannah, the temperature will be neither hot nor cold, whereas in Jahannam, the temperature will be either boiling hot or freezing cold. Sixthly, in Jannah, the feelings will be radiance, happiness, and pleasure, whereas in Jahannam, the feelings will be misery, suffering, and distress. Finally, we will discuss the foods and drinks. In Jannah, there will be fruit trees that will lower for the righteous to easily pick their fruits, whereas in Jahannam, food will be thorny and bitter, such as the plants al-dari and az-zaqum, neither of which will satisfy hunger, as mentioned in Surah Muzammil, Ayah 13, and Surah Ghashiyah, Ayah 6 and 7. In Jannah, the righteous will be able to drink drinks such as gafur and zanjabil. On the other hand, the wrongdoers will only be able to drink boiling and repulsive drinks, such as al-hamim, al-ghaslin, al-ghasq, al-ghasaq, as-sadid, and al-muhl. Whereas the righteous will have obedient maids, Malaika will force the wrongdoers to drink the pre-mentioned drinks of Jahannam. Overall, Jannah is the wonderful reward for the righteous, and Jahannam is the painful punishment for the wrongdoers. In this poster, we can visualize how to get Allah's mercy and qualify for the reward of Jannah at one glance. To better understand, I categorized these actions into two sections, Iman and good deeds. In both sections, I'll compare righteous do's and wrongdoers' don'ts. In the Iman section, we will know what we should and shouldn't do to strengthen our Iman. First of all, in every aspect, the righteous will be grateful to Allah, whereas the wrongdoers are ungrateful to Allah. Secondly, the righteous only fear and obey Allah. However, they do respect all of Allah's creations, whereas the wrongdoers fear and obey a sinner or disbeliever. Thirdly, the righteous will not wish against Allah's will. They are patient with Allah's decisions, whereas the wrongdoers wish other than what Allah has willed. Fourthly, the righteous fulfill promises and contracts, whereas wrongdoers sometimes break their promises and contracts. Fifthly, the righteous follow the Quran, whereas the wrongdoers love worldly gains. Lastly, the righteous believe and fear the day of Qiyamah, whereas the wrongdoers deny and disbelieve in the day of Qiyamah. Now, in the deeds section, we will compare what deeds we should and shouldn't do. During a long part of the night, we should prostrate towards Allah and exalt Him, and avoid sleeping or busying ourselves at those times. We should do evening dhikr and morning dhikr, and give food to the needy, orphans, and captive, only out of love of Allah, but not to be so stingy and not give food to others, instead saving it for ourselves. We should not accept any reward or things from doing sadaqah, as we're doing it only for Allah. Now, we know exactly what Allah has told us through Surah Insaan, and what we need to do and not do in order to prepare ourselves for the day of Qiyamah. Jazakallahu khairan for being with me, and I wish we all meet in Jannat al-Firdaus, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.